The story of Cleopatra, the last pharaoh. Power, seduction, betrayal. Her name has echoed through history for over 2,000 years. She defied an empire, ruled as a goddess, and changed the course of history. But who was Cleopatra, really? A temptress, a strategist, or the last true pharaoh of Egypt? This is her story, uncensored, untold, and far more captivating than the legends. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you love this type of documentaries. The rise of a queen, the birth of a legend. 69 BCE, while Rome devours the Mediterranean, Egypt stands proud, yet fragile. And into this world is born Cleopatra VII, the woman who will one day shake all the pillars of power. She wasn't fully Egyptian. Cleopatra came from the Ptolemaic dynasty, Greek rulers who had sat on Egypt's throne for nearly 300 years since Alexander the Great. Egypt was rich but politically unstable, and Cleopatra? She wasn't just another princess. From an early age, she stood out. She mastered 9 languages, including Egyptian, something her ancestors never bothered to do. She was brilliant, ambitious, and patient. A dynasty in crisis. Her father, Ptolemy XII, also called Auletes, wasn't exactly pharaoh material. He spent more time drinking and bribing Rome than ruling Egypt. To keep the throne, he gave Rome what they wanted most: money, mountains of it. Egypt became Rome's cash machine. Egypt supplied Rome with grain, gold, and treasure, making it a prize worth fighting for. The Egyptian people hated him for it, and when he fled to Rome, leaving Cleopatra and her siblings behind, civil war was inevitable. The Game of Thrones begins. Cleopatra wasn't the eldest child, but she knew one thing. In the Ptolemaic dynasty, survival meant outsmarting everyone, even your own family. When her father died, Cleopatra and her 10-year-old brother technically ruled together, but the real fight was, who's in control? Her brother's advisors moved first, stripping Cleopatra of power. At 21, the queen was exiled and broke. Imagine getting kicked out of your own palace by your little brother. Cleopatra and Julius Caesar. The arrival of Caesar. 48 BCE. Egypt is on the edge of civil war. But now, Rome, the world's superpower, has arrived. Julius Caesar, fresh from crushing his enemies in Greece, enters Alexandria to restore order. At least, that's what he tells them. Caesar expects a quick settlement, but Egypt is not just another Roman province. It's rich, strategic, and about to become the stage for one of history's most dangerous games. Cleopatra's legendary entrance. Cleopatra is exiled, stripped of power, hunted by her brother's men. Her only chance? To meet Caesar face to face. But the palace gates are closed to her, so she does the unthinkable. 2 servants carry her in a heavy Persian rug through guarded halls. The rug is unrolled at Caesar's feet. Out spills Cleopatra, calm, composed, and radiant. That single act, a bold gamble, would change history. Cleopatra didn't win Caesar's attention with beauty alone. She won it with audacity, intelligence, and power. This is no desperate fugitive. This is a queen making her entrance like a thunderclap. The alliance that shook the world. That night, an alliance was born, sealed not just with whispers of love, but with strategy. Cleopatra offered more than charm. She offered Egypt's loyalty, its grain, its wealth. In return, Caesar would give her what she craved most, the throne. The Alexandrian War erupts. For months, Caesar fights side by side with Cleopatra, smashing her brother's forces in brutal street battles. The young king, Ptolemy XIII, flees only to drown in the Nile. And with that, Cleopatra takes her crown again. But that's not all she gains. Months later, Cleopatra gives birth to a son. His name? Caesarion, Little Caesar. To Rome, this is scandal. To Cleopatra, it's security, or so she thinks. The Queen in Rome. 2 years later, Cleopatra sails up the Tiber River and enters Rome as Caesar's guest. The city gasps, a foreign queen living with the most powerful man in the Republic? To the Romans, it's an outrage. Statues of her as the goddess Isis appear in Caesar's villa. Senators whisper treason. Wives hiss her name. But Cleopatra plays her part flawlessly. She studies Roman politics, learns its weaknesses. She knows she can never rule Rome, but she can influence the man who does. The daggers fall. March 15, 44 BCE, the Ides of March. Caesar's ambition, his affair with a foreign queen, and the whispers of kingship has pushed Rome to the brink. Caesar's a collapse under the weight of betrayal. Today, the knives will decide his fate. 23 stab wounds end Caesar's life. His blood stains the stones of the Senate. And Cleopatra? She's thousands of miles away, alone with a child who bears Caesar's name. The Queen of Egypt has lost her greatest ally, but her story is far from over. Cleopatra and Mark Antony. 44 BCE, Julius Caesar is dead, assassinated by his own men. And far from Rome, Cleopatra receives the news that shatters everything. Her protector is gone. Her son, Caesarion, is now a living threat to Rome's fragile republic. But Cleopatra, she does not mourn for long. She begins to plan. A new power rises. In the power vacuum, Rome tears itself apart. Caesar's heir Octavian rallies loyalists. Beside him stands Mark Antony, Caesar's fiercest general, a man who fought by his side in every campaign. Together, they hunt Caesar's assassins and seize Rome in a storm of blood and vengeance. The liberators fall at Philippi. The Republic is dead. Rome belongs to 3 men. But soon, it will belong to one, and Cleopatra is watching from across the sea. The meeting at Tarsus. 41 BCE, Cleopatra sails to meet Antony. She knows men like him, warriors who live for glory, not politics. She doesn't come as a supplicant, she comes as a goddess. That night she ensnares him. With beauty, yes, but also with wealth, charm, and ambition. Soon, Antony is hers, and Egypt becomes his obsession. Love and empire. For years, their love story dominates headlines of the ancient world. Cleopatra gives birth to twins. Antony showers her with lands and titles. Together, they dream of an empire that rivals Rome itself. And in Alexandria, they live like gods, mocking the Senate, insulting Octavian, daring the world to challenge them. But Rome never forgets betrayal. To Octavian, Antony's affair is treason. To the Roman people, Cleopatra is the foreign witch who bewitched their general. And in 32 BCE, Octavian declares war, not on Antony, but on Egypt. The final gamble, Actium, September 2nd, 31 BCE. Actium, the decisive battle. Antony and Cleopatra command a fleet of 500 ships. Octavian, fewer, but with the brilliant Agrippa leading his navy. For hours, the sea is chaos, fire, smoke, shattered hulls. And then, Cleopatra makes her move. Cleopatra's golden flagship turns, sails catching the wind, retreating from battle. Antony abandons the fight to follow her. His men watch, stunned. History will argue why she fled. A calculated escape or sheer panic? Either way, Antony follows. And with that, the war is lost. The end of a dynasty. A year later, Octavian stands at Alexandria's gates. Antony, broken and betrayed, falls on his own sword. Cleopatra locks herself in her mausoleum, draped in royal robes, jewels glittering in the candlelight. She will not be paraded in chains through Rome. August 12, 30 BCE. Cleopatra is dead. With her dies the last pharaoh of Egypt and the last hope of independence. Rome absorbs Egypt into its empire, and Octavian, soon to be Augustus, becomes the first emperor of Rome. More than 2,000 years later, her name still echoes, a queen, a lover, a legend. The legacy, the aftermath. With Cleopatra's death, a dynasty that lasted for 300 years comes to an end. Egypt becomes a Roman province, a jewel in Augustus's crown. The dream Cleopatra fought for, loved for, killed for, dies with her. Yet more than 2,000 years later, her story still haunts us, not just as a tale of love and betrayal, but as a warning and a legend. Was she a seductress, a strategist, a survivor, or all three? History remembers her as Cleopatra, the last pharaoh, the eternal queen. Empires rise, empires fall, but Cleopatra remains immortal. What do you think Cleopatra's greatest weapon was? Her beauty, her mind, or her power? Drop your thoughts below. If you love this journey into history, smash that like button and subscribe for more epic stories. See you next time on My Way.